evening, New Salem. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday. Thank you for joining us for another episode. I'm excited to see everyone coming into chat. Please come in. Be ready to ask a lot of questions. We're ready to take them in and answer as many as we can. I'm Carla Coleman, Director of Communications for New Salem Baptist Church, and I'm here with my co-host, Paige Reynolds. So let's get started. Feel free to come into the room, and don't forget, put your questions in the chat. This evening, we are here with Senior Vice President Keith Warren II of WesBanco Bank to talk about your financial health, including the finance market going into 2021, interest rates on personal home mortgages and investment opportunities, and small businesses after now almost a year of the pandemic. So first, let's ask Keith if he could just tell us a little bit about himself, and then we'll jump in with the first topic.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Carla. My name is Keith Warren. As she mentioned earlier, I am one of the senior vice presidents over at WesBanco Bank, specializing in commercial lending. I work with small businesses and larger businesses ranging anywhere from $1 million to $50 million in gross revenues. But I have a heart and a passion for working with small businesses that are in the growth phase of their business and helping them achieve some of the lifelong goals that they've had and dreams that they have for their business. So I'm very privileged to be on with you guys and sharing information this evening.
Excellent. So Keith, why don't we just jump right in and talk about the finance market going into 2021? What is 2021 looking like so far? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think 2021 looks promising. I think coming out of 2020, everything looks a little bit more promising with what we've been experiencing, especially over the last year in the pandemic. But from a banking perspective and from a finance perspective, I think that our consumers, our small business owners, the average American who's looking to refinance their home or get a small business loan or even get a personal loan, be able to do some things that they've wanted to do around the home. 2021 is definitely going to be the year to do that. I think banks are definitely tightening up a little bit, but they're willing to work with and give some of the opportunities that are needed out there to our consumers. So 2021 looks really promising. I know for us right now at WesBanco, we've been putting together some initiatives to make sure that we're out here in the community, providing financing to those who need it, whether or not it's to purchase their first home or to have a small business loan that they're looking to start up their first business or expand their business. So it's an exciting time, and we're looking forward to see what this first quarter brings with a new president and new new regime leading the way.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest impact is just a whole new philosophy and whole new direction coming from the White House. That's impacting business, I believe. Would you say?
Yeah, I think we're going to see there's going to be a lot of changes for sure, and obviously when it comes to the finance world, when it comes to banking, those are some of the main areas that will be impacted with what's going to be taking place in Washington and DC. So we're already seeing some of that with the new PPP loans that are being distributed. Those are live now to the banks that are around. They started with small community banks and kind of worked their way up to the larger banks. I think all banks now are taking applications for those. So it's a good opportunity for those small businesses who are still in need to receive that support from the PPP loan. I know that there's another potential $2 trillion CARES Act that could be approved as well, which could see another round of the PPP. So really have to do those different things to be able to assist our business owners, because that's going to control the unemployment rate and everything. So there's a lot that gets wrapped up into that.
Wow. Yeah, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, because we're going to talk a lot about PPP in when we talk about small businesses. Paige, do you have any questions coming out of the chat yet?
Yeah, already. So we had a senior ask that she's thinking about placing money into either a CD or a money market, and she wants to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, with a CD or a money market, I think it really depends on how much access you want to have to your capital from that perspective. So with a CD, you're going to lock those funds in. You're going to receive a fixed interest rate on that CD, but you're not going to be able to have access to those funds for 3, 6, 9, 12 months, whatever it is you decide to, whatever type of CD you decide to take on. Whereas with the money market, the interest rate's not going to be as high, but you have access to that capital in case you need to use it for anything that you for any unforeseen situations that may occur. So I think you have the benefit of receiving some small interest rates with a savings from that perspective, but depending upon how much access you need to that capital should really drive which type of vehicle you decide to place those funds into.
Excellent. Any others?
Yeah. Yeah. So would right now be a good time to begin a small business? And if so, what steps would you
I think,
take?
yeah, I think right now is a great time to start planning for your small business. I think that right now is a great time to build your business plan. It's a great time to be looking for different areas and markets that you want to be in. Because at the end of the day, it's all going to, depending upon what your business is structured around, it's going to be about location. And what we're going to see is we're going to see a large run on property that's going to be becoming available from some businesses that are going to be moving, or some that didn't make it through the pandemic, which is unfortunate. But if you do have an idea or a thought as to what you would like to do from a small business perspective, I think right now is the best time to start building that business plan, and that's the foundation to find out exactly what it is you want to do, where you want to be, what type of services you want to provide in that business, and then going from there.
As a business, and I know we're going to talk more about small businesses later, but
Yeah,
you know, the world has changed so much. I mean, we are in a new normal altogether.
yeah.
And some of what we would probably have in a business plan prior to the pandemic is, I would say that business plan looks a little different now.
Well, I don't think the business plan looks different. I think what we have to do, we have to understand is that um, maybe the business that you were anticipating going into may look different. I think we've all found out that maybe I don't have to work in a brick and mortar office every day. Maybe I can work from home, or maybe I can work remotely from a smaller location that I don't have to pay a larger amount of rent in. I can rent a small space and be able to operate out of that, because I've learned over the last year or so I don't necessarily need an office per se. Or maybe, instead of having that full service restaurant, there's a big push on ghost restaurants right now, which is like a space where you just operate with your DoorDash, your Uber Eats, and things of that nature, where it's all delivery services. So I think a lot of the businesses that people are interested in doing, they're still available to them. I think they just look a little different, or could look a little different, depending upon how you want to move forward, and what makes the most sense for you and for the consumer.
Gotcha. All right. Any others, Paige?
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. So, Keith, do you assist in creating business plans for others?
So I have I actually do operate and run a small consulting service that will help you build your business plan, will help you build projections, will help you go out and find a space if you do need a brick and mortar space for your business. I do all those things, and it helps because I've had the luxury of sitting on both sides of the table in doing such, as a business owner and also as a banker. So it gives me a leg up, so to speak, on some of the competition at some of the other banking institutions, because I've lived what it is that people are trying to attain and achieve from a business owner perspective. So I think that makes a big difference in how you and what I'd be able to provide versus what everyone else would be able to provide from that perspective.
Yeah, definitely. So how, if people were to pursue that, how can they get in touch with you, find that
Yeah, I'd be
information?
more than happy to share my email, my business cell phone. My office for WesBanco is in up Arlington off of Henderson Road.
Hmm.
I'm easily accessible, so I'd be more than happy to share that information with Carla. Maybe we can put that up on the screen as we move into one of the other questions or what have you. I believe she has my email address already. So, reaching out to me through email or through a cell phone call or text message is the easiest way to reach out to me, and I'd be more than happy to sit down with anyone who has an idea of what they want to do and go from there.
Okay, we'll make sure that we put that in our social media so that people can have access to that.
Yeah,
All right. Okay. I said one more, but if you have another one, let's take one more.
No, we can move on for now.
We can move on for now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. Did you have anything else you wanted to add on to that, Keith, as far as that whole discussion of where we're going in 2021?
No, I think right now, um, you know, 2020 gave us a lot of time to unfortunately be at home and be kind of we were quarantined, right? And I've heard I've listened to a lot of different podcasts and been involved in a lot of different conversations that, you know, hopefully people are coming out of this quarantine with some ideas and some thoughts on how to expand and how to grow on their personal behalf. Entrepreneurship and ownership is key, and that's from business perspective, and that's from property and land and anything else. Carlo and I were talking earlier before we joined the call that the I think it's 80 to 85% of America's wealth is in real estate. So whether it's not buying your first investment property, which may be a duplex or a single family home or something to that extent, I think 2021 is going to provide a lot of opportunities for that for a lot of different people.
Excellent. I think that's a great segue into the next area or topic that we wanted to talk about, and that was interest rates, both
Yeah,
on personal home mortgages and any investment type opportunities.
yeah. Interest rates are, I mean, they're amazing right now. Whether or not you've owned your home for 6 months or 6 years, or you're coming up, you're 15 years in, if you haven't at least taken the opportunity to look at some of these rates from a refinance perspective, you are doing yourself a major disservice. I receive the interest rates every morning on the residential side, which is your home property, and the commercial side for commercial properties. And we're talking for 30-year mortgages right now from a purchase perspective, they're starting at 2.5%. That's crazy. Refinance perspective, they're starting at 2.75%,
Wow.
and that's for 30 years. I think about when my wife and I bought our first home back in 2008. Rates were 8%.
Yeah.
And then the crash happened, and it was bad. So 8% versus 2.5%. I mean, you're talking about thousands and thousands of dollars that you're able to save. So, and that doesn't just mean reaching out to the bank that you're with right now, that your mortgage is with right now, because mortgages sell our loans all the time. You purchase a home with Wells Fargo, and next thing you know, it's with Chase, and then 6 months later or 10 years later, it might be with Rocket Mortgage or something like that. So shop around, find out who's willing to refinance your home with no fees, with no application fees or anything else, because they're out there. I know WesBanco does a great job at making sure that anyone that comes in new to the bank from another institution, they waive their appraisal fee for them. That's $500, $650 right there. They waive the application fee for them, which is another $300. So you just save yourself $1,000 just by having a conversation and saying, yeah, run my numbers and show me what it looks like. So I think that everyone needs to be doing that. If they haven't done it already, that's something that they definitely need to be doing. And from an investment real estate perspective, which is what I spoke on earlier, Right now you can buy your first investment property with less than 5% down. And especially in some of our communities that surround the church and some of the other communities out here, you know, I think sometimes we get up in arms about gentrification, but best way to stop gentrification is for us to buy those properties ourselves, fix those properties ourselves, and put the people that we want in those properties in there. And now is a great time to do so because rates are crazy and it doesn't take a lot to get it done. So I would encourage any of you that are looking to say, you know what, I want to have some, you know, some ancillary income coming in and do something different while you're still working your 9 to 5. You know, getting into investment real estate is the best way to do it.
Wow. Yeah, so what you're saying is that the interest rates are not only low, but there's incentives out there to really kind of bring you in. So
yeah, I mean, every bank right now wants to grow the portfolio, and you know, whenever you have commercial real estate, that's instant collateral, which banks are always looking for. They're looking at how we're going to collateralize this loan that we're willing to give you. Real estate provides instant collateral from the amount of money that you put into the project from a down payment perspective to the amount of renovations that you're going to do that's going to increase the appraisal value of that property and where it is and how that community is growing. So, you know, it's an amazing opportunity to get into it if you can right now.
nice. Paige, do we have any questions in the chat?
Yeah, like you made a great point. You were talking about WesBanco, and a small business owner was having questions about credit cards percent back on purchases with them.
Mm-hmm.
So could you touch back on that for a second?
For asking about
Yeah.
if they get a percentage back from their credit cards that they're using, different credit cards.
Yeah, like for WesBanco and their credit cards, like what is or like their.
Yeah, you know, from a credit card perspective, you know, obviously a lot of the small banks, like a bank like WesBanco, which isn't a small bank, it's a medium-sized bank, I would say. I mean, they're aggressive in what they'll provide from a cashback or you know, awards or things of that nature. If you're doing a consolidation of credit card debt or business debt or whatever that is. So again, that's always why I say it's important to shop around. You know, if you're carrying a significant amount of credit card debt, or if you don't carry an amount of significant credit card debt, you know, the best thing you can do is, you know, have a conversation with some of these other banks, whether it be Chase or Huntington or WesBanco or Wells Fargo or anyone else. I know Bank of America, they all offer amazing rates and terms, but you know, I think a lot of times we get comfortable and content with what we have, and there could be something completely better out there that we're just unaware of because we're not having those conversations. So I would encourage you guys to all do that, and specifically start with WesBanco if you're looking to do something to that extent.
Any other questions?
Yeah, so for people who are starting a small business, what are some mistakes that you've seen people do when they're beginning?
I think the biggest mistake that anyone can do is not taking the time to write out their business plan. I can't encourage you enough to really sit down and write out all of the details that what you're planning to do, how you want it to be done, what your mission statement is going to be for your business, building your projections, deciding on where you want to have that business and who you want to market your business towards. A lot of times, you know, it's crazy. A lot of times I'll meet with business owners and they just come in and they have an idea and they don't know they haven't really put any much thought into all the back end of it. I worked with medical practitioners and healthcare practitioners for a long time, and they were amazing doctors, amazing dentists, terrible business people, right? Because they know what they know. If they're a dentist, they know ortho or peds or whatever it is they're doing, or if they're a doctor, they know that they're general practitioner. They've gone to school and learned all these different things, but when it comes time to run their business from the back office side of it and running a P&L and handling paying their vendors and things of that nature, they're unaware of that, and they're putting that that trust into someone else that they're bringing in to manage and run their business. Where I should encourage you as a business owner that if you're going to own a business, if you're going to operate it, you need to be able to operate every aspect of it and understand every aspect of it, so that if there's ever any questions that come up, you know exactly what's going on. So, and that's where that business plan comes into play. And I think that's the biggest mistake that some people make, is that they don't really go through the full workup of writing that business plan out.
That's a great point. Great point. Any other questions, Paige?
No questions right now. We can go to the next topic.
Yeah, I mean, starting a business, you just get so excited. You just want to go, you just want to think it's just going to just take off on its own. But it's in the details. You got to put it down on paper. Absolutely. Yep. All right. Was there anything else you wanted to share relative to personal home mortgages?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I think it's just important. I know I work closely with a couple individuals at WesBanco that I don't do personal home mortgages myself, but I work with some people that I trust to get the job done. I know they've done 3 or 4 for people that I've sent over, not only refinancing their homes, but also giving them large home equity lines of credit for those who are looking to expand on their home. I know another individual took the line of credit that the home equity line that he put on his home, and he's actually going to expand his business. He's going to use that line of credit for that, because the interest rate on the line is also a really, really aggressive rate. So he's got about $150,000 line of credit on top of refinancing his home. And now he's going to be able to go out and take on some projects that he wasn't able to take on before, because he was able to put that line in place. So, there's so many ways to make your home work for you instead of just working for your home. So I think it's important that you have those conversations with your banker, or go out and strike up a conversation with another banker. Just walk in to wherever it is that your mortgage may be today, or if you want to meet with someone else to find out what else is out there for you or available, do it.
Excellent.
Hey, Carla. Hey, Carla, there's a question on YouTube. The question is, can some strategies increase business credit, and what banks offer Hello on rentals? I'll put it up.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah. So a bank like WesBanco will help you be able to pull cash out. I think it's what the customers, what the person asking the question is asking. They will allow you to pull cash out on investment properties. So if you bought your investment property it was $100,000 and you put 50 in it, so you've got $50,000 of equity in it, they'll allow you to refinance that, whatever is left on there, and pull that equity out to use towards purchasing another property or multiple properties or things of that nature. So, I think you just have to, that's why it's important that you have the conversations with whomever your banker may be, or just reaching out to to whoever the lenders are and saying, hey, how can I pull these funds out? Because a lot of banks will allow you to do it if you ask the question.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Okay. Any other questions before we move on? Yeah. Okay.
One other thing I will say about the refinance, when you ask me about what things kind of trip up people from being able to grow and expand, the business plan is one, and then I know people have heard this all the time everywhere, but your personal credit. There are so many different things that you can do with a 750 or plus FICO score versus having a job that pays you $150,000. And when it comes to your business, that's the first thing that we're going to look at when we go and pull any information on you. And that's from real estate, that's from a business loan, that's from anything else. So take care of that without a doubt. That's the most important thing, because everything else we can figure out on the back end. But if that's not in order, it makes things very difficult to move how you'll want to move.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about small businesses. We kind of sprinkled that in a little bit in between here, but we are now coming into almost the full year of a pandemic.
Yeah.
Small businesses, especially in our community, in the African American community and the communities of color, have been hit hard.
Mhm.
And talk a little bit about what's available as far as resources to get us through 2021. How what we should look out for, and be careful, as far as trying to use some of those resources.
Yeah, I think that, for small businesses, what we saw in 2020 from when things shut down from from the pandemic perspective, um, you know, it didn't matter if the business was owned by an African American, by someone Hispanic, white, what have you. Everyone was struggling, and businesses are still struggling. I read an article a few months ago that said that 2021 could potentially see 10,000 restaurants close from the pandemic.
Wow.
And that's unfortunate. I mean, these are businesses that are opened by individuals who put their life savings in them. These are businesses that have been pillars in certain communities, that have fed many people, and done and provided a resource to different communities all over. And it's unfortunate. The good thing is that there are so many different programs in place that are becoming more available to these business owners to be able to help, whether it's a $10,000 grant for small business owners who have, less than 25 employees, or if it's whether it's the PPP money that was provided out on the first round, to the PPP loan that is now available to business owners. And again, there could be potentially another round of PPP money in some form or fashion that's coming after the first quarter. So I think it's important that these business owners, you know, talk to other business owners, find out what it is they're doing, find out what it is that, they're all going through some sort of pain or suffering and struggle in this time. And I think that, there's strength in numbers, and how, especially if they're located in the same community. And I think that, like I started off by saying, I have a true passion and heart for working with small business owners who are looking to start their business and grow their business. I said that at the beginning, but I also have just as much of a passion to make sure that they are able to keep their business and able to come out of this pandemic, hopefully better for what they've experienced. Because I think that's what's going to happen, is that those who really are able to be able to survive what's been going on the last 8-9 months, they're going to be stronger because of it. Because it's forced them to, sharpen the pencil. It's forced them to start looking into their financials a little bit more, looking into how their business operates and where they're able to save money and where they're able to move things around so they can be able to make it. And now going back out there, they're like, well, maybe I don't need this big of a space, or maybe I don't need 50 employees. Maybe I only need 30, or maybe I don't need to do this or that and this, that, and the other. So all this has happened. It's caused us all to take a deep look into what it is that we have going on from a business perspective and from a banking perspective. They have to lend. That's the only way banks can stay open and continue to make money, is if they lend funds to consumers. So whether that be, personal or business.
Mm-hmm.
So banks have to lend. They have to be able to find a way to provide lending to the consumers out there. And I think that it's important that everyone just kind of sharpen the pencil and sit down with their banker or sit down with their office manager or whoever and say, hey, this is the plan for 2021. Hopefully that plan's already done. I mean, a lot of business owners should have been working on that plan in 2020. So when 2021 hit the ground running, they already knew how they were going to attack the first quarter and the second quarter and be in a good position. So I think that's what makes strong business owners and CEOs of companies and things of that nature. That was positioned those from who are going to make it and those who may not make it. So.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I was going to ask, as you were talking, why were some businesses able to pivot so well and others not? I mean, when it hit in March, April, what's the difference between those who were able to keep it going and others who didn't?
Well, I think it depends on the actual business itself. What type of services and what markets does it play in? Those who had restaurants and they were single owned restaurants, full service, where they needed customers to actually be in their space to really thrive. Those restaurants struggled. Whereas, some who are franchises and, your Starbucks and your Tim Hortons and even your Popeyes and McDonald's and Wendy's, they saw their numbers increase.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, because at the end of the day, if we're going to go grab something quick to eat for our family, I feel much safer going through the drive-through at McDonald's or at Wendy's versus, going into a restaurant and sitting down or this, that, and the other. And those restaurants just couldn't happen. So I think from a restaurant perspective, franchise saw that. I work with a large Tim Hortons franchisee who has 100 different Tim Hortons franchises, and he saw his numbers increase because you can go grab coffee and donuts, and that's just a daily thing. I think for some of the other businesses that weren't able to pivot as well as you put it is because that was their one sole business, and there was never a plan in place for a pandemic. Unfortunately, like what happens if I can no longer be open and no longer do business how I've been doing it for the last 5 years, 10 years, 12 months, right? And again, I think this time has helped individuals equip themselves for putting that plan in place to say, you know what, okay, we're gonna come out of, we're gonna make it out of this, but now we have a plan in case something like this happens again, or there's an opportunity where something similar like this happens. We know how to maneuver and how to work in that during that pandemic. So, unfortunately, I think it was a part of those who just have access to certain information and knowledge, and who've been in business for a little bit longer than those who haven't. But I think, the first PPP round that came out definitely helped a lot of businesses. The second this PPP that we're doing right now. So just to speak to that a little bit,
yes, please.
It's a little bit different than the first round of PPP loans. So your first round of PPP, if you had a small business, you had 25 employees, you did the average amount of what that payroll was, you multiplied it by 2.5. You've been in business for so long, you submitted that information, boom, you got your PPP loan. If you were able to get it in time. This one's a little bit different. So now they want you to show that you've had a 25% loss in revenue over a particular quarter of the year. Now, obviously, businesses have been closed since March. They've slowly, gradually opened them back up around June and July. So that second quarter is definitely going to show a dip for a lot of businesses. The third quarter will also show a dip for businesses. And then there were curfews and things of that nature put in place where, that might have hurt your business. So as long as you're showing 25% gross revenue loss over a particular quarter, that's the first qualifying factor. The next qualifying factor is that you're able to provide your payroll taxes quarterly for the entire year for 2019. So that to make sure that all those are up to date. I think that's something that, the government wanted to make sure that, they had their portion of what was paid before they issued out any other additional loans. So we're seeing some of those different things come in. We've started taking the second PPP applications, and we're in a good place to move forward with that.
Paige, do we have any questions in the chat?
Yeah, we have one regarding the loan debt. So she says, if you could suggest a better way to pay off an astronomical loan debt that she's still trying to pay off from med school a while back.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that question for me one more time?
Yeah, so we had someone ask about loan debt and suggest some ways that she could pay off loan debt from med school that she didn't complete.
Yeah, med school. So that's where I've worked with a lot of different healthcare practitioners, and when you start looking at those medical school bills, they can be pretty high from being in school from that perspective. A lot of times, what'll happen is, depending upon if they go into private practice or they go into practice with someone else as an associate, sometimes they can negotiate that in the contract where the practice will pay a portion of that debt. I know a lot of banks have refinance programs for specifically for student loan debt, where those rates can fluctuate from anywhere from 2% all the way up to 8%, depending upon where that number is and what credit looks like and things of that nature. Again, I would advise them to, wherever it is that they're banking, start there. Ask to sit down with a personal banker to be able to gain some more information about which loans they have in place specifically for student loans, for them to be able to refinance those at a much lower rate. Because I guarantee if they're just going off of the rate that was issued by the institution or whoever it is that they took the loan out with, that rate's probably a lot higher than where it could be if they went and actually looked to have a refinance completed by a banking institution or some of the other lenders that are out here that work specifically with student loans.
Great. Yeah, this might be the time to refinance those.
Now is the time to refinance everything. If you got personal debt, if you have credit card debt, if you have your mortgage, and a lot of times use your, if you're refinancing your mortgage at 2.5% and you have student loan debt, or if you have credit card debt, credit cards, it's 25, 27, 29%. Would you rather be paying 29% or 2.5%?
Right. So
if you have equity in the home, use it to be able to clear yourself free of that of those credit cards. Now, when you refinance those credit cards and that student loan, throw the credit cards away. Don't run them back up. A lot of times that's what happens with some of the consumer debt from that perspective. But yeah, I mean, now is the time to definitely take advantage of the rates, because rates are not going to be low forever.
Right.
Biden, as much as everyone's excited to see him back in the House as president, eventually rates are going to go up, and it's shown over every, even when Obama was in as president, rates went up. They were extremely low. They were down similar to where they are now. And I think right before he left that house, because higher rates show strength of the economy. When the rates are lower, the economy can be considered not as doing as well. So when those rates are higher, that means that there's going to be more money that's being made by individuals and things of that nature. So that's where those rates are a little bit higher. So if you can take advantage and fix your rate now at a low rate, do it.
Nice. Yeah. So regarding that, a question is forgiveness really something that can happen for federal loans?
Yeah. From what I've seen and what I've been hearing on the banking side is that the forgiveness it could potentially be a real thing that happens here towards the end of the first quarter, second quarter. I don't think that people are, I would not speculate that, hey, you got $65,000 in student loan debt, it's going to be all forgiven. That's probably not going to happen. But I can't speak to that individually. What I can say is that I have been in meetings where the discussions of a portion of that being forgiven is a strong possibility. So I think, that in itself should be, that to me sounds like a pretty good opportunity. If anytime anything's able to be forgiven, I think that's a great opportunity to be able to take advantage of.
Excellent. We'll keep that in prayer for sure.
Absolutely.
Any other questions, Paige, from the chat?
Yeah, Keith. So what is your opinion on having an attorney for your small business or even an LLC?
Yeah. I think you should definitely set up an LLC or some type of S Corp corporation or something, because it separates you, it protects you. It's put in place to protect you from anything and everything that could potentially go wrong from that perspective, depending upon, again, what your business is and how it's operating and what market it's in. But you definitely want to take the time to set up your LLC. and reach out to an attorney to get the specifics and the details, and also an accountant to find out, how you can take advantage of whatever it is your business is from having that business entity set up. You want to make sure that you're able to take advantage of every single tax break that you can, because taxes are definitely going to be an issue. Not an issue, but they're definitely going to be a part of being a business owner. So you want to make sure that you have the proper corporation set up to be able to take advantage of whatever it is that's out there for that business and that corporation.
Okay, any other questions?
Here's one on YouTube, Carla and Paige. With lower interest rates now and higher income value, are loans that allow refi higher loan value, or is it just like VA loans?
Say that one more time.
Say it again, Mike.
Lower interest rates now and higher.
Do you see the question there?
Yeah, I'm reading it. Are there loans that also allow? Yeah, so WesBanco, for instance, will lend up to between 95 to 100% of your loan value. So if your house is worth $500,000, you have $250,000 mortgage on it. We'll go up to at least $490,000 from a refinance perspective, which will then allow you to pull that cash out and a line of credit of some sort, or depending upon credit. Again, all comes back to credit. If you got a 750 credit score or higher, we'll do 100% loan to value for you on that. On that refinance to be able to pull that capital out. So again, credit is key. And if you have the availability in equity in your home, use it. Absolutely use it, because a lot of banks will give you 100% loan to value if the credit is there. So
excellent. Paige, anything on your end?
No, I just wanted to reiterate to Mike, someone had a question from YouTube, but I think we got it.
Okay, great. All right. So let's just wrap it up here. Let's talk about anything else we might have missed. Can you think of anything else you would like to share, Keith?
No, I think the most important thing, and I hope that people are taking from this, is that there are a lot of opportunities out there right now for people to take advantage of refinancing and placing themselves in a better financial structure than where they were going into the pandemic. Whether or not you deferred payments on your mortgage or deferred payments on your car, things of that nature, right now is the time to be able to refinance your home, try to refinance any of the credit card debt that you accumulated, because lenders are willing to do that. They're willing to work with you. They're willing to put you in a position to win. I'm one of them. I'm just one advocate, but I know that there's a lot of bankers out there that are just like, who believe in the same things. I think you need to take the initiative and reach out to your lenders, reach out to some of these other banks and find out what they can do for you. Right now, we as consumers have the upper hand because of this pandemic. There are some different things that have been put in place to be able to assist us and help us, and we need to take advantage of it. And I can't reiterate more that right now, if you've been on the fence about going into business for yourself or buying a rental property or doing this and that and the other, now is the time to do it. Actually, the time to do it was 3, 4, 5 months ago. That's when the plan should have started really being put down, pen to paper. But going into 2021, I would say go after everything that you've been thinking about doing for the last 5, 6, 7 years and really get after it, because there are some programs that are out there that help you. And I think the economy is going to burst because people are ready to get out and experience and do all the things that they were doing before they got quarantined, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, if you want to have, depending upon what that business is, people are going to want to get out and experience it and enjoy it. So put it together, start building the business plan behind it, look at your projections, sit down with your attorney or your accountant or whomever to help you set up your LLC and and go get it.
I find this interesting, your summary here, because, we're in the pandemic. We're still in the pandemic. It's been longer than we thought it would be. And that's very optimistic. I mean, really, everyone's trying to be cautious because we're in this situation that's so, it's not, outside our normal. But, I think what you had to say here today, Keith, was very optimistic, and maybe we should get out of our comfort zones and push forward, as opposed to waiting to see what's going to happen in the next, 2 to 3 quarters. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think that when I look at some of the business owners that I know that are really successful, it's because they were willing to take a chance on themselves when it didn't make sense to anybody else, right? Jeff Bezos, the CEO and owner of Amazon, right? It didn't make sense to anyone else for them to be doing books online and things of that nature. And next thing you know, he's the richest man in the world, right? A lot of times, there's beauty that comes out of struggle, right? Yeah. And you just have to be willing to take the chance and bet on yourself, because if you don't, no one else will. And you'll be sitting around saying, I shoulda, woulda, coulda, instead of, it doesn't hurt you. It does not hurt you one bit to say, you know what, I'm going to file for an LLC. I'm going to sit down with someone like Keith, a business consultant, and run through a business plan, build some projections, and look at what those numbers look like. It does not hinder you or hurt you in any way, shape, or form into going into what you want to do. And then you may seem that, man, this makes a lot more sense than what I thought it was even going to make, now that I've actually put pen to paper. Now that I can see how these numbers are going to move and how this business is going to move. Because I can tell you, I know for me, as soon as I get my my vaccine and I can talk to my wife, we're going to get out here and experience the world. We've been locked up for a year, it feels like, right. And the kids are ready to get out and experience some things. And I think that's going to be the mentality of a lot of people. Not of everyone. Everyone's not going to be like, oh, I'm getting right back out here. Let's go, this, that, and the other. But I think a lot of people are going to want to get out and experience and go and do a lot of things that they had become accustomed to doing. And if your business can be a pillar of what that is, you'll be successful. And so my advice to you is, if you're a little nervous and jumping right in, which I would never advise you to just jump straight in feet first, plan your work. Wellness Wednesday is it's a part of New Salem, and your pastor always says, plan your work, work your plan. And that can't be more true in what it is that I'm encouraging you all to do today. So there's opportunities for you. I'd love to sit down with anyone who wants to dig a little bit deeper into it and has an idea as to what they want to do, and I would say go for it. So excellent.
I have just one more question, and Paige, do you have another question from the? Okay, let's go with that question first.
Okay, so it's a personal question as of just what you were talking about. So it says, I'll read it. I have a small consulting business on the side with only myself and 2 employees. In the past, we've made a few thousand per year, which was a great substantial income. Would a business this small qualify for a PPE loan?
Yes. The PPP loan may not be, large in numbers from whomever's perspective, but depending upon what it was that was lost in revenue and what was lost in employee wages, a portion of that can mean 2.5 times of what your typical employee wages are, or what wages were for the company. That's what will be distributed as a PPP loan. And odds are anything under $50,000 is going to be automatically forgiven. So yes, absolutely. Every dollar counts, especially now. So definitely apply.
Great. Was that the only one, Paige, or was there any others?
No, that was it. You can ask it.
I can ask my question.
Yeah.
All right. I just wanted Keith to just any websites or resources aside from contacting, WesBanco Bank that you might want to throw out before we end here tonight.
Yeah, I think what I'll do is, Carla, is I'll share, in order to put it up on the website, I'll send out a nice little bullet point of different websites and different places where small business owners can go and apply for different grants and things of that nature, because it's not just all through banking institutions. There's other nonprofit organizations that are also helping and assisting with that. I know that I was just on a call yesterday morning about doing some different things and working with grant writing and for nonprofits and things of that nature. So I think all those things are out there and available to you. So what I'll do is I'll put something together in a bullet point to give to you to be able to post up on the website. And I think that'll be the best way to go about that.
Okay, great. That'll be excellent. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. I'm so happy you were able to come on, and I'm surprised, to be honest with you. I wasn't expecting the big, some optimistic, and thoughts here about how we can go forward right now. I'm really encouraged by the low interest rates and the things that we can do to boost our business, start our businesses, and even on a personal side, from refinancing, etc. So thank you so much, Keith, for joining us tonight. Paige, did you have anything you wanted to add or anything extra here?
No, that was it. This is great information. So thank you. Oh, pause that. We have another question.
One more question.
So
We'll take it.
one more question. We'll kick it in. What is your advice for independent contractors regarding PPE versus PUA?
Yeah. For independent contractors, I mean, again, for PPP, it's still going to be 2.5 times that revenue that they were able to accumulate over a month span. So regardless of which one they go with, I think that's going to be the parameters for both. So I would say, again, sit down, talk to whomever is helping them do their financials from an accounting perspective, to see how they're going to be able to write some of that off as well. Because as a independent contractor, you want to be able to make sure that you're able to take advantage of a lot of that, because a lot of what their pay is through 1099 and things of that nature. So I would advise them to whatever it is, to do it as soon as possible, because again, for independent contractors, they want to make sure that they get those numbers in and get start doing the due diligence, so that the SBA can make a decision either way.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that was the last one.
All right.
So again,
Okay.
yeah, thank you so much, Keith.
Absolutely.
Sneak another one in there. All right. Thanks again, Keith. We appreciate you. Glad you were able to join us tonight. Thank you all for joining us and being there in the chat and participating. We really appreciate you each week. And I just have to say good night and stay safe and healthy. Have a good week.
Thanks.